Vinyl community, this is Tommy, and welcome to kind of a musical adventure. Not really, but a little late on this. I've been a little under the weather, so I haven't felt up to making a video, but feeling better now, but I'm a little stuffy, so I apologize in advance. If I go into a coughing fit, I will edit it out, hopefully. But I'm going to talk about The List. It came out this past Thursday for Record Store Day. Record Store Day this year is on April 18th. So we've got a little over a month to mull this over and to think about what's on the list. But I always do a video, normally most every year, where I talk about what's on the list and maybe share some thoughts. And you guys can comment down below on some things that you think. Hey, I want to first off thank, I've got a lot of new subscribers in the past few months, and I want to thank everybody for sticking with me during my time away, and those of you that are just tuning in, I promise some adventures to come. But for this adventure, we're going to discuss the Record Store Day list. And I'm just going to kind of go through alphabetically and talk about some things and some things that I might be interested in, and some stuff. There's a Beck single coming out. It's a little bit of everything. It's a pretty thick list, several things. And you know, before we get really into the whole list, the actual Record Store Day list, I kind of want to address something that's been on the minds of a lot of our vinyl community and record collecting people, is the Apollo Masters fire that happened out in California. And I know that that's been on a lot of people's minds. I don't know if it's going to affect anything short term, like this Record Store Day, obviously pretty good. Next year's Record Store Day, I think we might feel the effects of it. So I won't say get what you can while you can, but it's gonna be interesting to see the long-term effects this disastrous fire has on our passion and love of collecting. So here is the list, and we'll go through it again. I said before, Beck. There's a Black Keys. Let's Rock, 2 LP, 45 RPM. Several David Bowie things. Changes Now Bowie on Parlophone. It's an LP and CD for the CD collectors out there. There's an I'm Only Dancing, which sounds like it is a live thing, also on CD and LP. Solomon Burke, Back to My Roots. You know, some of these labels I find to be questionable, and I won't go into great detail about it. And also, those of you that know me know that I'm pretty dubious of the numbers, the limited numbers out beside. I don't know how accurate those numbers are. I don't know if that's to drive up interest or how they use those things, but I don't believe the numbers. I just don't believe them. Never have. But again, going back to the list, George Clinton, The Mortal Kombat is a picture disc. There's an Alice Cooper Live from '82. That's on Rhino Warner. Some Cure, looks like picture disc for fans of the Cure. A Miles Davis, there's usually a Miles Davis release. The Doors, the Soft Parade stripped. It looks like they've taken out all the overdubs and made it a Doors only version. There's a Drive-By Truckers for fans of that. I'm going through there quickly, so I'm missing a lot of stuff. There's an alternate Rumors. Fleetwood Mac's been doing a lot of these alternate versions of their classic albums, the alternate Rumors, which I'm guessing is the, if you guys a few years ago got the 2-disc re-releases of those albums, I have a feeling that the second disc of those are what they are. There's some Philip Glass, always something for Grateful Dead. There's a Jerry Garcia, the very best of Jerry Garcia. Hawkwind, there's a Hawkwind release, Hootie and the Blowfish live at Nick's, 1995. That's on Rhino. Brittany Howard, looks like a live EP. So that's exciting for fans of that. There is Jethro Tull, Stormwatch. That's on Parlophone. The Kinks, the Kink Chronicles. That's a 2 LP. I bet you anything that Andrew Sandoval has been involved, as well as Kevin Gray. I think Kevin Gray's been cutting those. There's a couple of K.D. Lane and the Reclines records coming out, re-released. Ben Lee, Grandpa Wood. Ben Lee was sort of the darling of the indie rock scene in the late 90s. Grandpa Wood was released on Grand Royal was the label, which was Michael Diamond's labels connected to the Beastie Boys. Liz Phair, I think was connected with that album, produced by Brad Wood, I believe was his name. But Ben Lee was like 16 at the time he did this album. Really good pop stuff, and it's a pretty decent album. I've got that highlighted for me as an interest. I'm not sure if I'll actually get it or not. There's a Motorhead release. Looks like a Motorhead single, Ace of Spades and Dirty Love. Let's see. Going through the list, there's an Iggy Pop, Pretenders, a live Pretenders release. There's some Rolling Stones. There's a Let It Bleed, which is on ABKCO. There's also a, it says Let It Bleed Limited Collector's Edition, whatever that means. There's a Metamorphosis, the UK edition is coming out. Also, Keith Richards 7-inch, Hate It When You Leave, with Key to the Highway. There's a couple of Shankar, Anushka and Ravi Shankar coming out for Beatles fans. The Ravi Shankar, it says Dark Horse Records is the label on that. An expanded edition of Slave to the Grind by Skid Row, so fans of Skid Row. One of the ones I've highlighted here is Resident Alien by Space Hog, another 90s band. Really, really great rock album. Britney Spears, Oops, I Did It Again remixes. TLC Waterfalls. A lot of big stuff for our 90s people. It's cool to see a lot of the 90s stuff coming back out. Because that stuff kind of missed the whole vinyl thing. So it's nice for fans of that stuff. Again, more soundtracks, different various soundtracks. Oh, I noticed this one. I just now noticed it looking through it. There's a 2-record set of Sweet Relief, which is the Victoria Williams release that came out in the 90s. A big fan of Victoria Williams, songwriter. And this was a tribute album. It had Pearl Jam amongst other people on it. It was a really big deal. There's also a Who, a quick live one. It's on the Monterey is the label. It looks like it's an EP. I'm thinking it's probably their Monterey Pop set, which was a short set, but they did a quick one in that set. That's my guess on it. I don't know how official that is. It says it's limited number to 6,500. There's Hank Williams, March of Dimes. One of the ones that I've got highlighted, that's probably a definite for me, is the Yardbirds, Roger the Engineer. It's a 2-record stereo mono set. I love that album. Warren Zevon's Greatest Hits according to Judd Apatow, which it looks like might be a fun release. Looks like Judd Apatow picked his favorite ones. Those are the ones that are just sort of the exclusive Record Store Day titles. Now you get into the limited run regional releases, which those are kind of hit or miss depending on where you are. Several things on there. I don't think there's anything that really jumped out to me. There's a Blaze Foley live at the Austin Outhouse, which looks interesting. It's limited to 1,000 copies. Hot Rats. I was reading an article about Hot Rats recently, I think. Maybe it's a different thing. I'm not sure. A Gainsbourg release, which is kind of always interesting. Only limited to 500, so makes you wonder. A Bert Jansch. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know we've had this discussion on here before. There is a Meat Puppets release. Let me see. I'm just going through this really quickly. You pop in the Stooges, Russian Melodia, Sun Ra. There's always some Sun Ra releases on Record Store Day. I'm just going through the list here. See if anything. The Verlaines. There's a Wire release. Those are there. Those are the sort of limited runs. And then you have what they call the first releases, which, again, there's quantities out beside them. But first releases just generally means that there's probably like a colored edition or there's something unique about the Record Store Day version, but that they are going to receive wide release at some point. So sometimes those are the ones you can kind of afford to miss unless you just want the limited one. But these are usually ones that you're going to see in mass quantities that are going to be released big time. There's several Allman Brothers. There's a Fillmore West. Friday Music is doing an evening with the Allman Brothers. I'm dubious of Friday Music. So anything that carries their label, I'm usually kind of iffy on. I don't think I even own a Friday Music release, but I've heard a lot of questionable things about them. There's a Black Crowes, Jealous Again. Bone Thugs and Harmony. There's a Tommy Bolin. Tommy Bolin Lives. Black Crowes Lions is coming back out. There's a Lenny Bruce. Canned Heat. Record Store Day Party with Canned Heat. That's also on Friday Music. Buyer beware. Johnny Cash. Hall of Fame series, early mixes, 1987. It's on UME. Wonder if this is some of his 80s stuff. Don Cherry, Collective Soul. Coolio, A Gangsta's Paradise, 25th anniversary. Again, 90s stuff. That's Dinosaur Jr. There's another Dr. John Remedies that's coming out. Let's see, trying to get through these a little quickly. Ace Frehley, there's been some Ace Frehley stuff the last couple of years. Trouble Walking. Let me go through Gorillaz. There's usually several D-sides and G-sides. Al Green, Green is Blues. That's coming out on Fat Possum. That looks like it's going to be a colored vinyl thing. There's John Wesley Harding. Screaming Jay Hawkins coming out. A couple of things on Third Man, Because It Is in Your Mind, and What That Is. Those are coming out. There's a Jimi Hendrix 7-inch. There's usually been some Jimi Hendrix. Elton John self-titled 2LP. Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny. Lil' Kim, for fans of that. There's a John Lennon Instant Karma 7-inch coming out. Let's see. There's a Post Malone release. Another one I'm kind of interested to see, Paul McCartney, the self-titled, I believe it's a half-speed master. Really want to get some more info on that, but I'd like to see what it is. It's probably going to be pretty expensive, and you got to ask yourself, is it worth it to buy another version of McCartney? It's a couple of Randy Newman soundtracks, Avalon and The Natural. There's some Pink Floyd, Arnold Lane Live, 2007. I'm not sure what that is. I know that they played at Live 8. Was that in 2007? I think it was around that time. It may have been a little bit before then. But I don't remember them playing Arnold Lane. Not sure what that is. There's a Roxy Music, the Steven Wilson stereo mix. It's a Roxy Music self-titled, which that's been a hit or miss thing. So this may be kind of correcting some of the mixes on that particular album. There's a Sun Vault Live. U2, always some U2 releases. There's a 11 o'clock TikTok 40th anniversary edition coming out. Ultravox. Several more of the soundtracks. Austin Powers, all the Austin Powers soundtracks are coming out. Batman and Robin. Lethal Weapon. It's been interesting, all the soundtracks that have been coming back out for Record Store Day. They've kind of made a thing of it. There's a Roger Waters Live in Berlin, which I'm assuming is the 90s, or not the 90s, but the one that came out, was it early 90s when he did that. The Who Odds and Sods Deluxe, which looks like, according to the Who's website, is going to be a pretty cool release for fans of the Who. And another one I've got highlighted here is Frank Zappa, You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore sampler. As far as I know, you can't do that on stage. It was a lot. There were live collections that Zappa did right before he passed away that came out on CD. They never were any vinyl releases of You Can't Do That on Stage, and I'm assuming this is a collection of. I think there were 5 or 6 volumes of You Can't Do That on Stage, and so this is probably going to be a collection of those. But I've got all the Zappa Record Store Day releases, so I'm sure this one will also go with that. But that's just a brief run through of the list. I don't want to make a 2-hour video where I go through each and every title. You know, guys know I always like to just put one up and just kind of throw it out there and kind of go through some of the stuff that I've got highlighted. There's nothing on there I'm just completely like my mouth watering for. Said the Zappa thing, I'm probably as I'm most definitely, and probably the Yardbirds, the Roger the Engineer, and there's probably a couple of other things that I won't mind picking up. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are all okay and that you're doing well, that you're staying healthy. Thanks for tuning in. There will be a Record Store Day video, of course, when it comes around, but there'll probably be a couple of things in between. So like, subscribe, comment, share the video if you feel so inclined. Get the word out about my channel. And thanks to all you guys for tuning in and those that take time to comment. It really means a lot. I try to respond when I can to you guys. So take care of yourself, stay healthy, and we'll see you all again next time.